Lay, member of faculty research graduate, Department of TVE, IUT. He couldn't present in other sessions, so he'll be presenting. I'll give the detail to chairman. And anyway, we have actually 4 papers, so time is up to 5. Okay, so what we'll do, okay, because we need time for chairperson also. Anyway, we'll try to adjust. Maybe what I can do is I can do last paper and adjust schedule. So first 3 presenters, you can do 15 minutes based on the timing. If some organizers give some time, we can adjust based on that. And we can reduce some time for discussion, or if you have, okay, we can discuss. Finally, we will be having a closing remarks by session chair. So first, I request Madam Rashmi Mehra to present her paper on enhancing learning at TVET.
And welcome to the session. Thank you for being here. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to speak too much. Malcolm has already said his piece about the importance of quality of teaching and training in the classrooms in TVET. And I'm just going to be elaborating on that. So as the name is evident from the name, the paper is going to focus on enhancing learning in TVET classrooms. The paper attempts to highlight the paradigm shift that is required in TVET classrooms to where we are today versus where we should be, to enhance the learning experience of the trainees, and simultaneously it also explores alternatives to in the specific context of the TVET classroom and the role of instructors, and how can we reduce the over-dependence on instructors by using instructionally rich media and material. Globalization. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I think by now you would have heard about it in every session. Just to say that 21st century brings in its wake a lot of changes. Globalization is impacting lives like we never imagined it would. And the world over, knowledge and technologies are being renewed at an unprecedented and unparalleled pace. Therefore, knowledge and skills are now the engines of economic growth. And any nation, any country which has the workforce with the right knowledge and skill sets has the competitive advantage to go ahead and succeed in the world. While we talk about globalization and how it is impacting lives and changing the world, it is also impacting the way we think, the way we learn, the way we educate, and the way we train. That is the necessity of the hour. That in this evolving world, we have to transform the way the workforce is being educated and trained so that they are ready for the emerging skill sets of the 21st century. Do we sit still in the 19th century classrooms and attempt to make our workforce ready for the challenges of the 21st century? This is a question that has been asked again and again, and there are different answers to it, and everybody attempts to answer it. In the globally changing scenario, the need of the hour is to reassess how learning is happening, how teaching is happening, how training is happening, and not only how it is happening, but how effective is it. The effectiveness of the teaching, training, learning. Plus, in this ever-changing and evolving world, the role of instructor is changing also. There's increased onus on the instructor to take ahead the learning process and impact the learning process in the classrooms. And we'll just go ahead and talk a bit more about this. So in a nutshell, a paradigm shift is required in the TVET classrooms from where we are to versus where we need to be. And we are going to be talking a bit about the classroom instructional methodology and the role of instructor. However, I understand that this is a complete topic by itself, and I'm sure there must be other sessions around it. So for the sake of this paper, I will quickly sweep through the points. So when we talk about teaching styles, we are talking about adult learners. So we have to move from pure andragogy to a healthy mix of andragogy and pedagogy. I am not getting into Malcolm Knowles' andragogy theory here. Just to suffice that, we should have the right balance of adult learning and child-centered learning, mix of the pedagogy in the classroom. And when we talk about teaching and learning in the classroom, it is active versus passive learning. In the classrooms today, we need active learning, learner-centric learning, not a teacher-centric monologue, which mostly happens in a TVET classroom. And something that I would like to specify here is what I'm talking about is mostly in the context of developing nations, where the problems are more acute. So when in the classroom we talk about active learning, what do we mean by active learning? Experiential, exploratory, discovery learning through different methodologies. And there are a host of methodologies. I've just listed out a few. The role plays, situational analysis, learners research, do peer critiquing. They are encouraged to use technology, do their own research, individual and group assignments, problem solving. Instructional approach. Does one size fit all? No, it does not. A classroom is typically heterogeneous. It has a mix of students with different learning styles, different learning abilities and capabilities. So the teaching cannot be done through a standard routine textbook. You need an instructor who's intelligent and creative enough to understand and adapt his teaching or her teaching to the learning needs of the class. Identify the learning styles in the class, develop additional resources, assignments, written, oral projects, use audiovisuals, use videos, question-based discussions, lectures, simulated workplace environments, simulate the workplace environment by problem-solving scenarios, multiple pathways, diagnostic feedbacks, and reward and recognition policy that never fails with humans. Curriculum, that is a big pain point. Curriculum has to be aligned to the industry, recent, and has the right mix of skills and knowledge. An issue that is coming up very frequently in TVET curriculum is there is over focus on skills, which is good and required. But what is happening is it is lowering the level of knowledge that the basic level of knowledge that a trainee needs to have to progress in his or her career is getting missed out. That in the long run is detrimental. The instructor's role has to be facilitative. Be a coach, a mentor, a philosopher, a guide, a counselor. So a teacher has to maintain adequate contact with the students, give them feedback, just-in-time feedback, not just feedback. Communicate well, communicate the high expectations that the trainer has from the class, and the class tries to respond to the expectations. Then encourage critical thinking and analysis. Going to learning strategies, we all have heard about connectivism. We have heard about collaborative learning. Working collaboratively actually triggers the learning process. So, an intelligent instructor would incorporate such instruction strategies in the classroom that would make the students work together, work collaboratively, like assignments, projects, peer reviews, study groups, collaborative projects, group presentations, field visits, brainstorming, debates. The list is endless. You just need to be as creative as can we think out of the box and come up with these. Learner engagement. There has to be high learner engagement with active participation. The focus has to be on the outcomes, not on what is being taught, not on the inputs. Another aspect is teaching learners with limited literacy and numeracy. Now this aspect is common across TVET classrooms, especially numeracy, specifically, when you look at the lower end TVET spectrum, you have learners, they have limited literacy and numeracy. However, they have to be supported with information. They have to be taught. And you cannot teach them with a simple textbook. If you were an instructor, you would really need to reinvent, think out of the box and come up with strategies to make them understand what you're trying to say in the way they understand. The TVET, if you do an analysis of students, TVET students, and again I'm talking in context of developing countries, most of them are visual learners. You know, we are different kind of learners. You might learn best by reading. There are other people who learn best, they're visual learners, through graphics. Or there are students who are kinesthetic learners, they learn best by when they do things. So an instructor has to be intuitive enough to understand the learning needs and adapt the strategies. So you have practicals, demonstrations, you have video, storyboards, PowerPoints, visual elements. E-learning I'm not talking too much about, and I have a very specific reason, because when I have done my studies in far-flung areas of India, and I've seen in Bangladesh and some other countries, the hygiene factors are not in place. And when I talk about hygiene factors, it is not about hygiene as in hygiene. It is about electricity, internet. It is a luxury in some of those areas. That is why I'm not talking too much about e-learning here, but it's a potent tool to be respected and used when it can be used. Assessments, you have to have continuous assessments with special, strong focus on formative assessments. Currently, if you see, the assessments are mostly paper pencil based, and formative assessments are almost not there. But a robust formative assessment will lay the way for strong summative assessments, and the students typically do well. So that is another aspect that needs to be kept in mind when we're designing assessments. So infrastructure I'm not even going to talk about. And knowledge gathering, yes. So from reproducer of knowledge to producer of knowledge. Essentially, the paradigm shift is all about either we give a child a fish and feed him for a day, or we teach the child to fish and feed him for a lifetime. How do we bridge this gap? While it's a complex scenario, if you just focus on the ecosystem of a TVET classroom, you have three key elements: classroom instruction, instructors, learners, which combinedly impact the learning process. In our current system, and the constraints of the system put the entire onus on the instructor to ensure that learning happens in the class, and the expectations are huge. In interest of the time, I'm just going to breeze through, like alignment to the industry exposure, motivation, create instructional material, know instructional design, be a good writer, thinker, philosopher, guide, friend to the students, understand the instructional technologies, understand educational technologies and theories, and more and more and more. So there is an over-dependence on instructors, and only highly skilled instructors can manage all these changes. The question is, do we have such ready-to-deploy instructors at present, or even in the near future? Do a reality check. There's a serious shortage of trained teachers across either developed, and the problem is more acute in developing countries. If trained instructors are not available today or in the near future, is it logical to be over-dependent on an instructor who is clearly not equipped to be able to do the job effectively? At least not in the short term, not in the coming few years that I see this happening at all. What can be done to cope with the situation? Can it be managed better? If yes, how? One option could be to equip the instructors to manage their responsibilities better, give them strong tools to use in the classroom to augment teaching, equip instructors to give them strong content and reduce over-dependence. Now, for some reason, if you go through the policies and discussions, there is peculiarly very low focus on standardized, strong instructional content development. I do not know the reason. I can't fathom the reason as well. However, that there lies a possible solution. Obviously, content has to be easy to deploy, understand, and all that. Now, coming quickly to some options that could work is we could actually, within the content, we could have pre-recorded lectures by master trainers on key concepts, on complex concepts and explanations for complex procedures, which could be videotaped. So let's say like overhauling of a generator, that could be videotaped. So, and when I talk about it, there's a specific reason that we bring in senior trainers. Our average trainer may not have the know-how, and even if he or she has the subject matter expertise, they may not have the instructional strength to explain well to the students. So we have a dual system here. We get an industry expert, we record the lecture, and they are not used as discrete components, they are threaded into the courseware. They are completely intertwined, and there is a detailed faculty guide which explains the instructor how, when, where to use those elements. The high point of this is that the classroom will have two facilitators, a very strong instructor, which is a virtual skilled master trainer, and a physical facilitator. So the teacher, the physical teacher, actually the instructor becomes a facilitator. Learners have access to good content, very good explanations, knowledge, and therefore the teaching process here is not solely dependent on the instructor. In fact, the instructional strategies are directed through the instructional material and not by the instructor. So it kind of de-risks the entire process. Option 2 is amalgamation of option 1 and 2, where you have the hub and spoke model. Hub models, you have state-of-the-art equipment, and each hub is connected to few spokes in tier 2, 3, 4 or rural settlements. And you have master trainers, you have state-of-the-art equipment in the hub centers. The master trainer can physically visit the spoke centers. And the hub centers can actually act as learning resources. They have learning resources, training centers. So the high point of this, the highlight of this aspect, this option is that physical teaching support is available. Plus there is strong courseware, regular monitoring of the spoke centers is possible, and the hub acts as resource and training centers. Having said this, as I stand here, I do not say that I have all the answers to this complex problem. This paper is exploratory in nature, and there are no ready answers. However, I hope through this paper to garner attention and generate debate, as the subject demands more mindshare and brainstorming. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Madam Rashmi Mehra. So now I request Mr. Nathu Salele, Member of Faculty Research, Graduate, Department of TVE, IUT, Teachers' Attitude Towards Modern Pedagogical Technologies, a narrative review.
Okay, members of the panel, distinguished guests, I welcome you all to this presentation, and I have given a little time to present because I wasn't able to present yesterday, so I was given a chance within a few minutes to present. So it's going to be very brief, inshallah. My topic is teachers' attitude towards pedagogical technologies, the narrative review. First of all, I want to talk about what is pedagogical technology. Pedagogical technology is any technology that's being used in teaching and learning. So any device, any tool that can be used in teaching and learning is what we call pedagogical technology. And nowadays there is evolving technologies that are coming up. So what we are trying to look at is how the teachers are accepting those technologies. Because when the technologies are coming, we can remember in the first days, even schools and colleges are buying mobile phones and such kind of devices into the colleges. But we shift to a situation whereby we accept them and we even incorporate them in our teaching and learning activities. So still, negative attitudes are being reported from some of the teachers toward those technologies. So research has been going on to check into such attitudes and to see what is the progress regarding such attitudes towards technology by teachers. Because what we believe is that teachers are the major device through which we can integrate the technology into education. Because we have to move with the evolving technology in the world. So, the research that's going on reported in many cases that teachers are becoming positive towards such technologies, but implementation at instructional level still negligible. So we are trying to see what is the reason. Because if we accept, then we have to implement. So research is going on to see what are the major reasons. So the major purpose of this research is to review the large body of researches conducted on the attitudes of teachers towards technology adoption and explore some of the important factors that influence the formation of these attitudes. Then we want to discuss the methodological issues relevant to the research findings and to present some possible directions for future research on teachers' attitudes. Because progress is going on, and different researches that are going on globally are reporting different cases. So we want to check the entire researches that are being reported to see what is the overall progress regarding those attitudes. So the theoretical framework of which those research in checking the teacher's attitude is developed is from the theory of learned behavior, theory of reason action talking about. Then the second theory is the same theory that's been modified by another component, which is computer. If any problem occurs during that instruction, will he or she be able to handle that failure or problem? Then that's perceived behavioral control. Then we have another model, which is technology acceptance model, which is also built on perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. When we realize the usefulness and we also try to see, is it easy to use? Easy means if you have the skills and competency to operate those technologies. So it will lead to either positive or negative attitude toward those technologies. So major factors that are being reported from the foregoing literatures are perceived usefulness, technology, confidence of the teacher, then gender. Some of the researchers also reported some gender disparity regarding the acceptance or rejection of the technology. Then training that the teachers will receive regarding those technologies, then prior experience, because some are having prior experience to those technologies than others, then anxiety, confidence, and liking. Then key findings. The major findings regarding those large body of research that we review are, one of them is teachers are positive towards technology, but do not adopt its integration at instructional level. Then secondly, subject specialization and prior teaching experience, technology experience, influence the attitudes toward those technologies. Then the third one is age, gender, and type of school attended does not affect the way the teachers behave toward those technologies. Then effort expectancy and facilitating conditions does not, or they have a minor effect regarding how we accept or reject the technology. Then a more recent global survey was conducted just in June 2017, and regarding those acceptance and use of technologies by teachers. And the result regarding aptitudes, 89% of those that participate in the survey reported that they feel positive about teaching with technology. So there is always positivity. Then 78%, they classify themselves as beginners, or they just start using the technology. But in their response, the teachers see many benefits of using technology in teaching, which is ranging, the benefits include student engagement and to skill developments. Then regarding teaching, they see that technology is important and it's good for their teaching preparation, from creating presentation and others. But multimedia is a highly valued technology aspect that they consider. We will see that among the challenges that, okay, the ownership, 90% of teachers, they own either smartphone or laptop or both. Then 55% they encourage or require their students to use their own devices in class, which is different from what we know in the past, that devices such as smartphones are being banned from classes. Then teachers use their own devices for teaching preparation and creating media. But the challenges they face is that technical support is a key resource for troubleshooting in technology. 50% of them, they own expertise on how to troubleshoot, but 40% they said that nothing stopped me from using the technology, which means they have more expertise in managing and handling the devices they use in teaching. So the main conclusion we got from this review of the literature are, one, although the teachers, the researchers, research is going on regarding those technologies, so we need to conduct more research to examine the additional factors, because we have seen that there are always positive aspects, but there are a limited implementation of those instructional materials that use technology, especially in developing countries. So we need to investigate more to see what is limiting those teachers from using those technologies. For example, more specific information should be sought about the quality of training the students receive, and more importantly, on the duration, content of the training, and also intensity, because sometimes we give the training in a periphery. Sometimes the duration is so, the period of the duration is so limited that the teachers can get the in-depth knowledge of the technologies or how to handle the technology. And we have seen that also. We can say that one of the factors that limits the implementation of those technologies or using the technologies by teachers are fear of controlling the technology. If in the middle of instruction any problem did happen and they don't have technical support, that might stop their own instruction. So we see that technical support also may be the major reasons why they don't implement, but more research is needed to handle that, to investigate, to see what is really going on. So those are the main articles we have reviewed so far, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Matthew Salilla. So the third paper will be presented by Mr. Faisal, Assistant Professor, Textile Engineering College. The title of the paper is The Taxonomy of Education Objectives, Current Practices at Polytechnic Institutions in Bangladesh and its Effects in Developing Student Competencies.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. Welcome all to my presentation, and those who are in front of me and in the dais. I want to give a thanks to the chair of this session for giving me a chance to talk few in front of you. So I have only 10 minutes, so I will take only 10 minutes to talk. So you see my title is regarding the taxonomy. I think I see few of my previous colleagues are sitting here. So those who are teacher going through the pedagogy training, I think they knows very well than me regarding the taxonomy. But my issue is that why we are considering these titles. Actually, the taxonomy, why we need the taxonomy? When we are forming the curriculum, or we are preparing the learning materials, or we are assessing the students, the curriculum, the taxonomy is the major issues we have to consider it very seriously for this thing. That's why the introduction of this my topics is the learning teaching materials, curriculum implementation, and especially the mid-level engineering course which are offering in Bangladesh in polytechnic institutes. We call it diploma in engineering. So my title will only focuses on diploma in engineering curriculum and which offering in Bangladesh. So these are my objectives. I will not go to read everything. Just I'll go forward. Actually, this types of results is literature analysis. I collected few literature for my study, and this included quantitative and qualitative analysis also. So these are the first, second, and third. We first, second, and third we observed or study actually. Observe firstly what type of medium of instruction are using in polytechnic study, and secondly we have seen that how the taxonomy is practicing in polytechnic education, and finally the students' assessment. What is they are considering? Are they considering taxonomy in our polytechnic education or not? And what levels? The taxonomy is it was created in 1956 by psychologist Dr. Benjamin Bloom's, and then in 2001 it was revised. And most often we desert educational training and learning process by the taxonomy. And there is a sequential order when we are designing our learning materials or curriculum. So this taxonomy have 3 domains, subdomains. I'm going to discuss the subdomains also. We have the link, so I will not go on through due to the shortage of time. So just see the picture at a glance so that you can understand what is the 3 domains of taxonomy, and is it important or not for considering curriculum designing or learning materials or student assessment. You see that three domains is there. One is cognitive, another one is affective, and another one is psychomotor. The cognitive only relation with the so students will be able to think something. And the affective domains, students will feel their words, and finally the psychomotor domains, he will develop their skill by considering this psychomotor domain. So I will not go to discuss. I have to talk less as I instruct. So the taxonomy has been created in 1956, and it has been revised in 2001 by this way, from noun form to the verb form. So when we are writing the objectives of the learning materials, we have to put the action verbs. You see the action verbs, how they put in this from noun form to verb form. So as a teacher of TVET institution or polytechnic institution, so we should consider what the action verbs I have to put when designing the learning materials or curriculum. So you see in every learning stages, so there is a specific action verb is there. So we have to put the action verb when designing the curriculum or lecture learning materials and when we are using the assessment tools. So there is a order in every subdomains. The cognitive domain, subdomains, there is a 6 levels. So the picture saying many things, so that's why I think I should not talk. There is a second one, the emotional adjustment will be built if we consider these levels of subdomains of taxonomy. And then the final one is the psychomotor domain. This actually belongs to our skill. And now, what is going on Polytechnic Institute? What is happening actually? So my area is the Polytechnic Institute. You see the data, some few data is Polytechnic Institute, the information, how much Polytechnic Institute is in our country, and how many is public and private, and how many seats. After the 2015, we have the 60,000 Polytechnic graduates enrollment, including public and private. We have 55 public Polytechnic Institute, including some 1 or 2 monotechnic institute, and 410 private Polytechnic Institute is there. And after 2014, actually you see the enrollment female percentage, or it was 17%. So I have the current data, I will not go. So what about the diploma engineering? They are offering in Polytechnic Institute the diploma engineering program. So we call it mid-level engineering program. Very recently it was revised in 2011 to 2014 due to the changing of requirements of the job market, and actually they are offering 50 courses in 4 years course, including 8 semester, and 1 is industrial attachment, and 162 credits they are offering in diploma in engineering in this country. So course duration and total contact hour is 4,800, including theory and practical. You see they went the 4,800 contact hour in the educational institution. So this actually, you see now I'm showing you one real example. So our intention is that to prepare our student for the future world of work. And as a mid-level engineer, I picked one job advertisement. It was published in July 23, very recent advertisement. There is an organization in USA, they are seeking the mid-level engineer in mid-level electronics engineering. So they are seeking the candidates will be able to analyze, will be able to make the decision, and will be able to evaluate. So you have seen already in the taxonomy levels, this action bar was there. So the question is that if we do not consider this action bar during developing the curriculum, implementing the curriculum, or making the learning materials or assessment, student assessment, so how they will get these types of actually skills for the real job market. So if we fail to put consideration during the implementation of curriculum or preparing the learning materials, so our students will not be prepared for the job market. So we should consider in this way for actually the curriculum development process. This has to be considered in curriculum development process. So this is actually diagram of curriculum development process. There is a taxonomy is there, learning domain is there, considering there. So learning domain we have to. Sure. So I am putting here a real example actually. So what is the learning level from a hierarchy? So in the C programming, so there is a creating, compiling, testing, debugging, and executing process actually is there. So when we are lecturing when we are preparing our students during the class, if we do not put in the question or assessment tool or lecture materials, without this considering this word, creating, compiling, testing, debugging, so our student will not be prepared in this way. So there will be, if we consider, they will become expert in this way, from novice to the expert. This our intention is that we will intake novice students, and our output will be the expert one for the job market. These are the actually study analysis headlines. I'm not putting in this too much text here. So actually I'm going to show you one example of the test item in Bangladesh. It is practiced in polytechnic institutions. So this is the real question paper. Already I have analyzed how much they are considering learning domains by putting the question item in the student assessment. So there are the 3 subsections. I will not take so much time. Just I am going to show you the 3 subsections. This is the table actually I have analyzed from their test item. You see the taxonomy, sub-taxonomy, there was the remember, understand, apply was there. But how much I have got from their test item? Only 48.1% they are putting the remember, and total including 51% only the remembering they are considering. And in case of understanding they are considering 43.9%. And you see this is a crucial issue, and only the apply or analyze they are considering only 5.1% questions. So how the students will be prepared for the future world of work if they are only considering 5.1% test item in the question paper? So you see that another analysis is there. So the marks obtained, so how much they got. So out of 100 marks, and you see the 5.1%, 5.1% question is there. So from 5.1% questions, they got only 2.6 marks, and understanding 10 marks, and remember 18.2 marks. So these are their decreasing order from remembering to apply. So this is another crucial issues in polytechnic. There's another issue regarding the teachers' response out of regarding aware of the taxonomy. Are the teachers aware about the taxonomy? No, because they have the few years experience in teaching. So we have out of 50 respondents, so 50% they don't know about the taxonomy, but they have the few years of experiences, and rest of 50%, 24%, they little knowledge about, but they don't consider applying in consciously, and rest of them a good conception, and they apply it in the teaching and assessment student performance because they went few pedagogy courses. That's why they heard about it, but they don't apply it. You see another analysis, you see the histogram is there. So you see from 0 to 20 marks. So you see the frequency is there. So 9.27 is the mean marks. It's very pure and it's very crucial for regarding the the competency test. We are talking much more about the skill, competency, CVT, and so. So this is actually the real question paper from Germany I have collected. So they are not putting such a way that we are assessing our students. They are actually offering the question in such a project-based question. This is the real question paper from Germany I have been collected. So I will not discuss about so many things. Just I'm going to compare it with the Bangladesh and Germany. So you see I think you see. Yes, it's clear. So you see the Germany and Bangladesh, there is a comparison table is there. So the remember, understand, and apply I have been consideration how much remembering tool they are putting in their student assessment tools. So in comparing Bangladesh, you see very it's actually serious thing is that only the remembering thing is considering much more in Bangladesh, but remembering thing they are considering very less in Germany. So you see the Germany, so jointly they are conducted by the Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Institutes. They are not only assessing the students only by the educational institution. So they are jointly assessing the students. Chamber of Commerce, there is industry and institution. But in Bangladesh, only the BTEB, only the educational institutions are assessing the students, and in Germany they are putting the assessment task in workplace oriented and project based. In Bangladesh, everything is theory oriented and only the knowledge based. You see the comparison again. So in Bangladesh and Germany is regarding remember, understand, apply. I have applied and I will take another time. This is a study recommendation. I will conclude only this thing. Okay. So the recommendation summary is there. So my recommendation is that the taxonomy learning domain should be implemented in curriculum, in learning materials, theory class, practical lab classes, and student assessments also. So if you fail to considering taxonomy during the curriculum process, learning materials preparation, theory classes, and practical lab classes, and student assessments, we can't make our students for the future world of work. So we are talking too much about the skills. We are arranging the conference. We have the intention to build our population for the future world of work. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Any other comments?
Aware of ICT, wherever we saw like ICT, information and communication technology. It may be in the education area, or it may be e-governance or medical, we call as telemedicine. Everywhere this ICT is very much implemented, and I was happy to see this total program is going on live. I don't know whether it's working. Anyway, if you have Facebook, please try to use this. This is also going on like the different session. At least I am sure which one they are using this. Just in the Facebook, try ideb.bangla.bd. Okay, you are able to see this one. So everywhere we are using this technology, because it's not only this group is going to see, wherever the people are there in the world. Like I remember, our IDB president was mentioning the inaugural. The inaugural was not only in that building, people were sitting in this building also. So it was like telecasted and many different rooms it was done. So we have to try to use this technology in this borderless world, so that anybody, whether we are using laptop or mobile or any device, iPad, we should be able to access the material from any part of the world. I am sure most of us are using Google or YouTube and collecting a lot of information. So I wish we have to use this. This is what a print screen some time back I have taken. So the Facebook is in the site is going on. So we are already having this type of facility. I wish all the country people should try to know what is happening in other countries. So for example, I was surprised to see that Bangladesh is doing a lot. Even our Prime Minister is doing like this video conferencing. So I'm sure most of the people are using this one. Try to use it for educational purpose. So in Chennai we had some experience. If time is there, I can show you some clippings. So we are doing like this type of video conferencing. And especially this UNESCO New York is doing a lot of e-forum. If you are interested, try to go to a UNESCO New York e-forum and you can get a lot of information. You can try this. So if you observe, we have a lot of potentials for these ICTs. Maybe it is related to access of different materials. It has a lot of efficiencies. So especially in the area of teaching and learning, we can use a lot, like skill formation. Even one day I was telling to the people related to Internet of Things. Nowadays we are going to see, it's called IoT. So even we are going to have a lot of this Internet of Things item. Even from the car we can do a lot of remote control, lot of sensors are going to come. Everywhere we are going to play with ICT. So we are going to use this in any different area, but if you see, especially in the ICT, as Mr. Fazil was explaining, we are using all these things in the curriculum. And if you want, you can use the Bloom's taxonomy, that one, or more recently they introduced new Bloom's taxonomy. So based on that, we are using this ICT also. So you can, whenever you prepare this type of objectives, we have to include this ICT in your curriculum also. That is why many of the polytechnics, they started introducing this ICT as at least one core paper. So all the person who is completing the TVET program, maybe mechanical, for example, I used to tell like mechanical students is there. So he is doing nowadays everything like mechatronics. So as we know nowadays in future cars, we are going to have all those things with GIS, GPS devices. So they should know those technology. Anywhere, like say if you take like any building construction, nowadays we have like Philippines, we can see like 60, 70 floors buildings. So our civil engineer is going to learn this, he has to take care of that. Whenever he is going to design any building, he has to take care of internet facilities, all this Wi-Fi campus, everything. So wherever you use, nowadays we are using, even I was seeing some videos, even the kitchen robot is going to prepare, or like Dr. Sangshu was showing us, the robot is going to do the stitching. So everywhere we are going to change, especially in the education, we are going to change this closed learning to flexible learning or open learning. So if you observe, the material is available many places. One I want to show you, like if you take like NPTEL, where there is she is doing a course, okay, it's like her course. So it is given by Government of India, we call it NPTEL. I'm sure many of you may be aware of this. It's called National Project on Technology Enhanced Learning. So it's free. So any subjects can be taken freely, online is available. Otherwise, just if you want to have videos, just put NPTEL Basic Electronics, NPTEL any computer subject, whatever subjects you want, you can develop. This is more than 10 years projects are done. Recently they introduced this type of online program. So she has registered for this course. So if you see here, like you can go and see the course materials one by one. The video will be there. I don't know the speed. So people can see this type of classes.
Here you can see the ongoing courses, upcoming courses and
so like this course materials will be available online. So we can go to the lesson 1. So they'll be giving like 30 days or 2 weeks like that time. I have to go online and I have to study the material. And this is online, okay. And if I want to ask a question, I can do. And for example, every week they will be giving something like assignment, and the material also will be there. So they will be giving you in the format of PDF. So what I mean is, this is available freely. Try to use it in different subjects. Okay, go to that. Just put Internet of Things. This is what will be there. If you just put online course NPTEL, you can see. Professor will be telling what are the content will be there.
That is going on by both private and government.
About him and what are the each week. So this is a 12 weeks program. So whoever is like this is one example. People can go to this. And I was observing one more thing, especially this related to theory. And I'm sure many of you may be aware of a software called TVET. This is already available freely. So what you can do is just download TVET from your computers. So if you go here like this, there is a software. I'm sure like it's available. I'll ask her to connect. Like TVET. You can connect. So just first time only you have to download this. Then I'm sure you will be able to access this material. So freely is available. So I asked her to connect here. So the advantage is, assume I am a teacher. So this may be I am working basically from CPSC now on reputation for past 3 years in Philippines. Basically I am from National Institute of Technical Teachers Training Institute, where we have only, my students are only teachers. So if I want to connect her, so I will connect to her. So she has to give me permissions. So once if it is given, I have to give the password. Can you see? So assume she is my student. So I have to get the password only. There is IP address which I will connect, and I have to get the password. Okay. So I will connect the password. So this is available. This is usually used by our service engineers, software engineers. So just I was thinking, why can't we use this for our regular programs? So we are able to access this type of material now. I can access the computer for some more things.
Sorry, internet is slow.
Huh?
Internet is slow.
Why?
because too many audience are using internet.
It's connected. See, it's connecting. Anyway, it's only slow. So what the advantage is, assume a student is going to do in his house, is at our house, after office hours. So as a teacher, if he has some doubt, he can communicate through any media now, maybe WhatsApp, Viber or mobile, he can tell this. And the advantage is, I can access the student computer from any part of the world. So whether I am in Philippines or whether I am here just adjacent, see the screen. Assume this is the recent software, I am sure many of you may be aware of LabVIEW, there is a virtual simulation software, MATLAB. This is a recently introduced software called R programming, where people can do lot of analytics like image processing or big data analysis can be done. Assume my student is doing this one, can you do some type in something? So I can see remotely from outside like A is equal to, okay, 10. So in case my student is do something and if he or she finds some problem, so I can correct this remotely. Okay, this may be simple, but I am sure this is freely available which can be accessed. Okay, for example, some mistake is there, my student don't know this. So I can type like this, okay, A plus B, C is equal to A plus B. So I am typing, now I am seeing the value, so I will be able to get the value. Just this one simple addition. It can be a big program. So this is one of the advantages which we can use it, okay? So like this, time I will close this. So whenever my session is over, I can just disconnect that, okay? That is the advantage. So like this, people can use this, and because of time, I think quickly I'll go through this. So what I want to say is, nowadays everything is happening like this. So all these technologies is not like this type of closed learning. What is happening now, this conference is going on any part of the world, anybody can see. As a teacher, I can teach like NPTEL material you have seen, video recorded material will be there, web-based material will be there, you can see anytime. So the student can be interacted anytime nowadays. It's not like older days I have to depend on this only in the classrooms. And one more initiative by the university, she's from Satyabama University, one private university. So they started doing lot of skills related program even for the remote centers. So they set up something like different remote places in different parts of south part of India. So where the students or different skilled technicians they are coming. So from this part, like Satyabama University is connected through ISRO only. The ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, they do lot of satellites, and they launched one satellite called Education Satellite, by which we have lot of educational programs are going on. So the one initiative by Satyabama University is what they do. The classes are taken in their university, like this the teacher is taking, in the remote places they are doing. So simultaneously even some 10 institutions or 20 institutions can be connected. They used to interact like this. So people can use this. See, this is the remote place where they are doing like ordinary course. It may be like electrical or plumbing courses. So which is happening not only in particular like sophisticated places. So they do even like this. So I am sure you may be aware of telemedicine also people are using. The mobile van will go there. This is like a small receiver, or it can be used as a transmitter also. It can be sending the material. So whenever that student complete that, they will be given award like this. So this is how they are making like this. So the officials from that ISRO go there and they are also seeing this and see this is something like electrical practice in the remote place they have. So teachers, maybe some local teacher may be there, he may be giving some basic ideas, but remotely the teacher will be taking the sessions. At least theoretical part they can handle like this. So this is what is happening, and quickly I can say some of the points like, especially whatever I may be a teacher, I have to do lot of preparations to do whether it's 10 minutes presentation or 50 minutes in my classes. So try to use the technology, try to use these multimedia packages and try to use this, okay? This is what I want to say, and especially lot of technology has come, whatever we are massive open online course has come. So everywhere people started using what we are using, like CPSE also using something called CPSE on course, where we are, I think our CPSE program participants, they have already attended this. So this is what is happening. I think because of time, I think I can finish with this. So maybe just I can give you my email and just approach me if you have some issues. Okay. And as you have mentioned, everything is going to be like mobile based. So thank you for giving us opportunity for this. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So now any question answers please for all four. Maybe few minutes we can have question and answers. Please. You can tell your name, introduce first yourself, then ask whose name, for whom.
Yeah, I am Muhammad Al-Shattar, Illustrator Architecture at Dhaka Mumla Polytechnic Institute. This is question or recommendation, anything you can say, through Mr. Faisal. He shows the taxonomy about our course delivery or syllabus, okay? But I think there have another important issue of our learning process. We know about this learning stage, 4 stages of learning. In our curriculum, when we design or deliver our content, we are not followed this stage. How one student coming and last stage how he is competent or not competent. So in this assessment system also, he also shows the assessment system our. So this is also related with CBT, competency based learning. So if we want to include those taxonomy and another CBT system, we need to clear this learning process, our learning process. So I think it should be include our system and our teachers training, how a student learning, what the process. When he come, they have no knowledge about why he coming here and what his knowledge about this. Then he come and his contrast. We have no tools in our syllabus how we assess. We have any idea about this? This stage, second stage, they are not conscious about his competency. Then when he conscious about his competency, this is our last stage. But mastering stage, in last stage, mastering stage, we did not measure or assessment tools how we know he is competent or not. So I think this is my recommendation, not question, to Mr. Faisal. In his paper, if this is possible to show about the learning process, how student coming and how we going to his future work. That's 4 stages of learning. I'm talking about the 4 stages of learning. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your good recommendations. Okay, I have already one slide was there for future study because I didn't show because due to constraint of time there was a future study was there. Okay, so thank you very much. I'll consider it.
I am Muhammad Yusuf Saleh, Chidapur Authority, country Bangladesh. I have a question to our chairman, sir, in our IDEB, Mr. Gupta. Say research, about research. Research is the most important subject for teaching level. But our polytechnic have no research center, as like as WET, CHUET. We can propose to government in every polytechnic create a research center easily. So my question to Mr. Gupta, from our IDB, we can easily propose to government to create research center. Have you any plan about this proposal? Thank you.
Thank you. I have taken note of it. We shall put it in our recommendation. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Suk from IT, TVET department. Now the conference is going at the end, and there is a query about even the topic of taxonomy. Even in the training session, people are complaining there is a gap between the industrial world and the design and curriculum design. But my question is, those are from Bangladesh. I want to understand what is the mechanism, how the curriculum has been established. Because I didn't understand the occupational analysis, because how it has been established. From there, then we will understand how we can get a solution. Because we know that for TVET, the other country, nowadays are going to DECOM system. They're going through DECOM system. We want to do the reform of TVET. They were not looking what's going, the current trends going on the curriculum design. So I want to understand what has been done. From how was the process? What is the basic element? How the curriculum designer has conducted the development of curriculum at TVET in Bangladesh. Then we can find a solution of it.
Thank you very much for your good queries. You are actually asking what is going on in Bangladesh, how we are developing our curriculum, or how we are reforming our curriculum. Actually, we are actually nowadays we are giving good attention to the TVET sector actually. So we have actually in BTB we are revising our curriculum every 5 years in Bangladesh, especially in polytechnic education and diploma in engineering. We are offering 4 years course, and we have been revised. Already I have been showed from 2011 to 2014. It has been revised. So there is a process, and there is a committee has been formed by the Bangladesh Technical Education Board. They are calling from few persons from industry and few expert from TVET expert and educationists and teachers, and all together we have been seated, and we are seeing that in which sector we have been reformed or developed. And then we are making decision, and we are submitting with the higher authority, and they are designing actually, they are implementing. This is the way actually. But we have so many problems. We are trying actually our best. I think you have got your answer. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I think already you are late. Okay, then I request our session chair, Professor Malcolm Abbott from Swinburne University of Technology, Australia, to give his concluding remarks.
Thanks very much to the speakers. Four very informative papers. At the start of the session I said that this could be perhaps one of the most important sessions of the conference. The four presenters certainly took up the challenge and presented some very interesting information, at least to myself, who doesn't have a very deep knowledge at all of Bangladeshi education. It's quite difficult, I think, to very easily summarise all of the views being put forward. But in a nutshell, I guess my impression is there's a lot of experimentation going on in Bangladesh at the moment using new technologies, and each of the four speakers talked about the use of new technologies. Some gave a lot of examples of the different use of the new technologies. A few of the speakers also raised the question of what you would do with them. The first speaker, Ms. Mayra, spoke about the need to be a facilitator and not an instructor. She also spoke about the need for students to be active learners and not passive learners. And one of the challenges I think facing teachers today would be to be able to use the new technologies to encourage students to be more active in their learning and less passive. Similarly, Mr. Faisal talked about the taxonomy and the problems of Bangladeshi education in terms of the emphasis on remembering and understanding material instead of applying and analysis. I think again, one of the great challenges for Bangladeshi teachers in the near future would be to use new technologies to address some of the problems raised by Mr. Faisal. Education has to encourage students to be analytical and to apply their knowledge, and making use of the new technologies should be able to give teachers the possibility of being a little bit more innovative in their teaching. The last individual I'd like to point out is Mr. Sailor Lay. And he was very positive in his findings of his research, in the sense that teachers are very enthusiastic in this country about using new technologies. They are very positive about its use, and they generally have a very good attitude towards it. I think that bodes very well for Bangladeshi education and training, and hopefully in the future we will see a very great surge in the quality of the programs in this country. Thanks very much for everyone attending today. It's getting quite late in the day, of course, and I'm sure you're all very anxious to finish up. So on behalf of the group on the dais, thanks very much for your attention, and I wish you all well.
President Hamid sir. And completing at least by 6:30. So thanks to our President IDB, Mr. Hamid sir, and thanks to all the speakers for completing within the time.